Selamat siang, Bapak Ibu dari UIN Suska. Peserta admit aja. Di admit aja ini, Bu.
Yang mana? Baik, Bapak Ibu panitia yang sudah hadir, apakah suara saya terdengar dengan jelas?
Jelas, Bu.
Yang sudah hadir, apakah suara saya terdengar dengan jelas?
Itu ada feedback, Bu.
Baik, terima kasih, Pak.
Barusan ada feedback, Bu, dari speaker sebelah sepertinya, Bu. Dari Ibu. Jadi mantul. Ada suara masuk lagi 2 kali, Bu.
Iya, Pak. Iya, sebentar, Pak.
Iya, jadi ada speaker.
Ada suara masuk lagi 2 kali, Bu.
Iya, kami juga mau pindah-pindah tempat nih, Pak. Saya mau ke ruangan khusus. Iya, sebentar, Pak.
Ya, jadi ada speaker.
كان بيننا الحبيب لدينا القاصي والقريب من طيبة قبل المغيب طالبا قرب الحبيب بقربه النفس تطيب وتدعو الله فيجيب أنوار طه لا تغيب بلغ ذلك يا مجيب. هداك القول الرحيم رحمة الحاضر قريب حديثك نهار العظيم جوارك الغصن الرطيب فدك روحي يا حبيب محمد مكرم الغريب بقربك الروح تغيب يا رحمة للعالمين. يا حبيبي يا محمد يا طبيبي يا ممجد أنت زلفت للمؤيد جل من صلى عليك يا حبيبي يا محمد يا طبيبي يا ممجد أنت زلفت للمؤيد جل من صلى عليك يا حبيبي يا محمد يا طبيبي يا ممجد أنت زلفت للمؤيد جل من صلى عليك. Mulia berani lembut hati amat cerdas ilmu seluas samudra ya Sayyidah putri Abu Bakar istri Rasulullah. Sungguh Nabi memuliakanmu hingga Nabi minum di bekas gelasmu. Bila marah Nabi kan memanja sejukkan hatinya. Ummana sungguh terpuji akhlakmu dengan Nabi, dengan baginda bunda selalu berseri-seri, selalu bersama hingga ujung nyawa kau di samping Rasulullah. Sayyidah Aisyah sungguh manis roh cintamu, bukan persis novel yang kadang cerita semu. Kau istri mulia ya Aisyah ummana, Allah Rahman pilih Rasul untukmu. Mulia berani lembut hati, mustahil soleha, ya Sayyidah Putri Abu Bakar, istri Rasulullah. Sungguh sweet Nabi memuliakanmu, wanita surga yang nampak di dunia, amat suci cinta. Bukan persis novel yang hanya fata morgana. Kau istri mulia, ya Aisyah ummana. Allah Rahman pilih Rasul untukmu. Ummana, sungguh terpuji akhlakmu dengan Nabi, dengan baginda bunda selalu berseri-seri, selalu bersama hingga ujung nyawa kau di samping Rasulullah. Sayyidah Aisyah, sungguh manis sirah cintamu, bukan persis novel yang hanya fata morgana. Kau istri mulia, ya Aisyah ummana. Allah Rahman pilih Rasul untukmu. Ya Sayyidah Aisyah, Sayyidah Aisyah, sungguh manis sirah cintamu, bukan persis novel yang hanya fata morgana. Kau istri mulia, ya Aisyah ummana. Allah Rahman pilih Rasul untukmu.
Mohon izin Pak, untuk narasumber kita Bapak Profesor Hadi Susanto dan Bapak Profesor Dr. Insinyur Suhono Harsoso pangkat MN sudah hadir Pak. Baik Bapak Ibu yang kami hormati, sebelum rangkaian acara ini dimulai, apakah suara saya terdengar dengan jelas?
Jelas, Bu.
Baik, terima kasih. Mungkin acaranya akan kita mulai saja ya Pak Aib ya, karena mengingat waktu juga dan menghemat waktu kita. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, during this international webinar, there will be door prize. So it's very recommended for you to attend this event till finish. And then don't forget to fill out the attendance form. The link will be given in the chat box. Before we start, I would like to inform you an interesting announcement that we will organize the second session on the 9th of November next week. Two speakers will be sharing their talk. The first speaker will be Insinyur Hendro Nurhadi, PhD from Institut Teknologi 10 November Surabaya. And the second speaker will be Professor Dr. Magnus Jaeger from German. Please note the date, 9th of November. We will announce the registration form soon. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bunga dijual putra mahkota, baunya harum bila disentuh. Sebagai awal pembuka kata, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana li hadza wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadanallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya ba'dah. Good afternoon and may God bless you all. First and foremost, let us give praise and thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa taala who has given us health and the opportunity to come and gather in this special event, the international webinar entitled Entrepreneurship and Sustainability, organized by the Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau and the Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung. Salawat and greetings are extended to the great Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by saying Allahumma sholli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Hopefully we can intercede in Yaumil Mahsyar. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, orang ke laut menjala udang, petang hari pasang pelita, yang ditunggu sudah pun datang, yang dinanti sudah pun tiba. Niat hati tidak terbendung, badan merana rusak pikiran. Selamat datang di UIN Suskaryo dan UIN Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung kepada Prof. Hadi dan Prof. Suhono yang kita muliakan. Please give applause to Prof. Hadi and Prof. Suhono. Your Excellency, Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, UIN Suskaryo,
Recording in progress.
along with the first, second, and third Deputy of Dean, the Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, UIN Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung, and the whole committee at UIN, the Honorable, the representative from Pertamina Hulu Rokan, the Honorable Deans of Science and Technology of State Islamic Religious Universities in Indonesia, the Honorable speakers, Prof. Hadi Susanto, Department of Mathematics, Khalifa University, and Prof. Dr. Insinyur Suhono Harso Sepangkat MN, Head of Quota Innovation Center and Smart Community, Bandung Institute of Technology. Welcome, Prof. at UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau and UIN Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung. The Honorable All Committee, International webinar participants, and all invited guests. By asking for the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the international webinar entitled Entrepreneurship and Sustainability, organized by the Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau and the Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung, Thursday, November 4, 2021, let's get it started. Ladies and gentlemen, to start the whole series of events, let's listen to the reciting of the Holy Verse of Al-Quranul Karim recited by Abdullah. Time is yours.
Apa suara saya terdengar?
Ya, terdengar dengan jelas.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafil laili wan nahari la ayatil li ulil albab alladzina yadhkuruna Allaha qiyaman wa qu'udan wa ala junubihim وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار ربنا إنك ما تدخل النار فقد أخزيته وما للظالمين من أنصار ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد Sadaqallahul azim. Sekian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, Abdullah, a student of informatics engineering at UIN Sunan Gunung Djati, Bandung. He is a Quran Hafiz who has memorized 30 juz or sections of the Al-Quran. Tepatnya, Abdullah merupakan mahasiswa teknik informatika di UIN Sunan Gunung Djati, Bandung, dan beliau merupakan hafiz Quran 30 juz. Please give your best applause. Okay, by listening to the reciting of the holy verse of the Quran earlier, hopefully we will be blessed and our event will run smoothly from the beginning to the end. National Anthem Indonesia Raya, ladies and gentlemen, please stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, please resume your seats. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hendak menjerat si burung bubut, jerat diikat di pohon jati, besarlah hajat kami menjemput, besarlah niat di dalam hati. Next, we will hear greeting remarks from the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, UIN Sunan Gunung Jati Bandung, to Dr. Hajah Hasniah Alia MSI. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, walhamdulillah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya ba'dah. Allahumma sholli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We all honor the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology of Sultan Syarif Kasim State Islamic University, Riau, Dr. Hartono. We respect the deans and leaders of the Faculty of Science and Technology of State Islamic Universities all over Indonesia, or PTKIN. We respect the speakers at this international webinar, Professor Hadi Susanto from Khalifah University, Abu Dhabi, and Professor Suhono Harso Supangkat from Bandung Institute of Teknologi. We respect all the participants of the webinar, both from lecturers and students. On this great occasion, I would like to say a few things. The first, I want to inform that this international webinar is a collaboration between Sunan Gunung Jati State Islamic University of Bandung and Sultan Syarif Kasim State Islamic University of Riau. The seminar divided to two series. For the first series on November 4, 2021, and the second will be held on November 9, 2021. Furthermore, we convey that the theme of entrepreneurship and sustainability is motivated by the condition of our universities, especially in the PTKIN environment, which still doesn't direct its students to the field of entrepreneurship, whereas the progress of a country or nation is largely determined by the number of its entrepreneurs. Likewise, Indonesia, to become a developed nation, must have many entrepreneurs. Currently, entrepreneurs in Indonesia are less than 0.5% of population, far behind Singapore, Japan, and other developed countries, which are already above 10%. Therefore, academic institutions like us must play a role in instilling an entrepreneurial spirit among the younger generation. In addition, the issue of sustainable development is still a very important topic that is discussed on various occasions. We realize that studies and research that contribute to sustainable development need to be supported because they are closely related to the survival of the people's life. Therefore, we made this theme to be studied by presenting resource persons who are experts in their fields, namely Professor Hadi Susanto and Professor Suhono Harso Supangkat. We would like to thank the committee from both Faculty of Science and Technology Sultan Syarif Kasim State Islamic University Riau and Faculty of Science and Technology of Sunan Gunung Jati State Islamic University Bandung, who have prepared this webinar very well, even though in a very short time. We also thank our partners who supported this event, 10 November Institute of Teknologi, ITS, and Khalifah University of Abu Dhabi, as well as sponsor from Pertamina Hulu Rokan. Finally, we apologize if there are any inconveniences in organizing this event. Thank you very much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks to the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology, Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung, who has given his speech in front of us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to get the blessings and pleasure of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, let's together do the prayers that will be guided by Arif Nur Trias. Time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Na'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin hamdan syakirin hamdan na'imin hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafiru mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karimi wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid dinina wad dunya wal akhirah wa afiyatan fi jasadina wa ziyadatan fi ilmina wa barakatan fi rizqina wa tawbatan qabla al-maut wa rahmatan 'inda al-maut wa maghfiratan ba'da al-maut. Allahumma hawin 'alaina fi sakaratil maut والنجاة من النار والعفو عند الحساب برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا تقبل منا دعانا وصلاتنا وصيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا وقعودنا وتخشعنا وتعبدنا وتمم تقصيرنا يا الله يا رب العالمين. ربنا ساسغورنا ويسر أمورنا ولل عقدة من آسناتنا يفقه أفوالنا. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the opening ceremony of the international webinar entitled Entrepreneurship and Sustainability, organized by the Faculty of Science and Technology of Sultan Syarif Kasim and the Faculty of Science and Technology of Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung. And during the next sessions, we will be hearing presentation from the speakers. Before that, we will first take a group photo. For that, please activate the cameras. Please activate the cameras. Please, for the operator, take a group photo. Okay. 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 Okay, thank you. We will continue the main session and it will be led by the moderator. Before that, I will read a little CV of moderator today. The first moderator is named Fadilah Ilahi MSE. She is a mathematics lecturer at Faculty of Science and Technology, Sunan Gunung Djati, Bandung. Her bachelor's degree was obtained from Sunan Gunung Djati, Bandung, and she graduated from a master degree at Bandung Institute of Technology. Okay, to our moderator.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Sowirda. I just want to check, can you hear my voice clearly?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, we are going to step into the main session with our guest speaker, Professor Hadi Susanto from Khalifa University. Before that, I would like to read his brief curriculum vitae. Professor Hadi Susanto was born and grew up in Lumajang, East Java. He has graduated from Department of Mathematics, Institut Teknologi Bandung for bachelor degree, and Twente University, Netherlands for master and PhD. He was visiting professor in University of Massachusetts, lecturer at University of Nottingham, and senior lecturer at University of Essex, United Kingdom. Now he's currently a lecturer at Department of Mathematics, Khalifa University, United Arab Emirates. His research interests are in theoretical and computational dynamical system and analysis applied to nonlinear waves in differential equation model in many different fields, such as biology, physics, and nonlinear optics. He's very productive researcher with more than 1,000 citations in his publication work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this meeting room, our guest speaker is already here, and I will greet him for the first time. Assalamualaikum, Professor Hadi. How are you?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay.
Fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your willingness to join this event. It is such a great pleasure for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the effectivity of the time, we are gonna hear sharing session of Professor Hadi's research in the topic of formation of blooms and patterns in phytoplankton model. I would like to remind all of you to mute your mic and focus to pay attention on this session. To Professor Hadi, for the next 45 minutes, the time is yours.
Can everyone see my slides now?
Yes, Prof.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for the invitation and the opportunity to be here. It's a great honor to be able to present some of my recent works together with our collaborators here. So the first two were my former PhD students. Then they're now already graduated, and so Rudy Kusdiantara, he's now a lecturer at mathematics department at ITB, and then Nicola Walker was a former PhD student as well, and then Michael Steinke and Edward Codling were colleagues at the University of Essex. And it is quite interesting to see a joint event like this, which I think should be held more frequently, to initiate productive collaborations between universities in Indonesia that I think still need to awaken to need to to be initiated. But before I will be talking about the main topic, for the next 3 to 5 minutes, let me introduce the university where from. So currently I am at Khalifa University of Science and Technology. If Indonesia is here, then the United Arab Emirates would be somewhere here. Now, if we zoom in on that area, then this would be the map of the country. So Abu Dhabi is right near the sea here, the Persian Gulf. And Abu Dhabi itself is one of the 7 Emirates that form the United Arab Emirates. And there is Abu Dhabi, there's Dubai, Sharjah, and so on and so forth. And the country is neighbored by Saudi Arabia and Oman. And then you can see also some other neighboring countries as well. Now, the university itself, it was historically established first time as the Etisalat University College in '89. And Etisalat is a telecommunication company. Maybe it's like a telecom in Indonesia. And then in year 2000, was another institute, another university was established. It's called the Petroleum Institute. Petroleum Institute was established by the oil gas company, the National Oil Gas Company, ADNOC, the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. And then in 2007, Khalifa University of Science and Technology and Research, so it was still called KUSTAR, and Masdar Institute of Science and Technology established. And then in 2017, the KUSTAR itself was sort of a development from the Etisalat University College. Yeah? So Etisalat University College was at the time became part of KUSTAR. And then about 4 years ago, KUSTAR, Petroleum Institute, and Masdar Institute merged into one university that is now called Khalifa University. And there are 3 faculties only: engineering, arts and sciences. So the mathematics department is within the College of Arts and Sciences, and medicine and health sciences. In the recent US World University rankings, Khalifa University is numbered 183, and it is number 1 in UAE. Also, according to QS, as well as the Times Higher Education. And then in this opportunity, before we're talking about research, I would like to advertise that Khalifa University offers graduate scholarships and the master's as well as PhD level. And the scholarship benefits include coverage of tuition fees, so basically no tuition, and then medical insurance coverage. So health insurance, health facilities are covered by the university. And then annual flights to the original country. So if a student comes from Indonesia, then every year they will receive a flight ticket, return tickets to go to Indonesia. And then free university accommodation, staying at the dorm, free, no fees, and monthly stipend of about 12,000 dirham. Yeah. So this 12,000 is for your daily cost. Yeah? And if you wonder how much is 12,000 dirhams in rupiah, so it's about between 45 to 48 millions rupiah, ya, 48 juta rupiah. And if you wonder how much it is compared to the living cost in Abu Dhabi, so as a man, I like laptops. So for instance, for MacBook Pro, the price in Abu Dhabi is about 5,000 to 6,000. So this is like twice of the price of a MacBook Pro. Yeah? So it's quite generous. So but of course, on the other side, it is quite competitive. So if you're looking for scholarships to pursue your study in the graduate level, I invite you to submit application to our university. So that's the introduction on my background on the university. Now we're going to start talking about research, and the title of the talk is read by the moderator, is Blooms and Patterns in a Phytoplankton Model. Yeah? And there are two keywords of talk that are important, namely blooms and patterns. Yeah? Blooms and patterns. And in this picture here, I show you what the meaning of bloom. Bloom means implosion or explosion of population. So this is a satellite picture above a lake called Lake Erie in the US. What you see here is that this is an explosion of phytoplankton. The green part here that you see is a phytoplankton. Okay? And we will be talking about, we will model this phytoplankton bloom here and why it is important, and also on the other side may be dangerous as well. And the topic that I am presenting to you is related to the topic of the event or the conference, namely sustainability. And the talk here is based on these two papers that we published jointly with the collaborators. Okay, and my talk will be following these items as outlined. First, I will be talking about the so-called DMS or dimethyl sulfide, and then I will be talking about first mathematical model that that we use to analyze the phytoplankton bloom, and the second one is first one is using ordinary differential equation, and the second model is using the partial differential equation. And even though I mentioned about differential equations here, please you do not need to worry, because I try to squeeze the mathematics to a minimum level. So what I'm going to present you will be some animations and interpretations that hopefully can be understood by everyone. Okay, the first item is about DMS or dimethyl sulfide. I apologize if there are chemists or biologists in the audience who may be more familiar with the idea. So I would be happy if I made a mistake and you correct the information I provide you. So what is a DMS or dimethyl sulfide? Is actually a chemically mediated interactions strongly affects population structure. So interactions in the ocean is actually through this DMS. For human being, for people, for persons, we interact with each other, we communicate with each other through eyes, nose and mouth and gesture, hands. That's the way we interact with other people. But for animals, or even in our case here, for small animals, or you can argue whether plankton is animal or plants. Yeah. The question is, how do they interact with each other? The answer is that they interact with each other through chemical stuff, through chemical compounds, and in particular DMS. Yeah? So DMS itself is actually gas, in the form of gas. So it can be released to the atmosphere. And when we go to the sea, to the beach, to the ocean, and say, oh, the smell of the sea is so fresh, what we smell there is actually DMS. Yeah? And then it is released to the atmosphere. It can go and evaporate to the atmosphere. And this gas here, this DMS, is predominantly produced by marine phytoplankton. Yeah? So we used to hear about plankton, and now we are talking about phytoplankton, because the planktons that produce DMS here actually can, how would you say that, can absorb the sunlight. So it lives as an animal as well as a plant. And then, so you see, I mentioned before that these animals, the small animals, they interact with this chemical stuff, yeah, it's chemical compounds. And there's actually, it is quite known as well, for instance, birds here. So these are references if you're interested in talking about DMS, okay? So for instance, birds, if we go to the sea, we saw seagulls hovering in some parts of the sea. We may think that they actually see fish under the water. Actually, according to some research, that's not necessary to be the case, or even that's not true. What actually they use to see the fish, to see in quote the fish, is actually DMS. So they actually smell some areas with a strong DMS, and then they just fly above that area. Okay, not just seagulls. We also have, for instance, here sea lions, also penguins and turtles. All of these animals have been studied in these references, and then, but it's not really so many studies on the production of DMS itself, especially in interaction with other small organisms. So that's the talk about. And before we proceed further, one thing that's important to discuss is the so-called infochemicals. I mentioned several times why it is called infochemicals. It's called infochemicals because these chemicals are used to give information, to get information, also to provide information. And then in biology, there are several types of infochemicals. The first one is called pheromones. I think we have heard the name pheromones many times, which basically to attract the same organism, the same kind of animals to get closer. Yeah? It's called pheromones, the first one is pheromones. And the second one is chiromones. What is chiromone? Chiromones is chemicals that is released by a predator. Yeah? So it can be like the sweat, like keringatnya predator. If the prey smells that chemicals, they would run away. So such chemicals is called chiromones. And the third type is called deterrents, namely chemicals that is released by prey to push predators away. And then the third one is that it's called chemoattractants, namely chemicals that's released by a prey, but this one is, on the contrary, attracts predator to come. So these type of infochemicals can appear in that can be used by animals, by small animals, to interact. And keep in mind those chemicals and their characteristics. Okay. So first one is on the left here is the phytoplankton. And this phytoplankton is actually eaten by microzooplankton. Okay, when phytoplankton was eaten by microzooplankton, this microzooplankton released chemicals. And the chemicals actually give signal to a bigger animals, which is called copepods. Yeah, so the copepods will eat microzooplankton. Because the copepods eat microzooplankton, so the amount of microzooplankton is decreasing, then so the copepods here give a positive effect to phytoplankton. Okay, so these are the interaction. Phytoplankton is eaten by microzooplankton. After they eat phytoplankton, microzooplankton release signal to copepods, so copepods will come and eat microzooplankton. And because microzooplankton decreases, then phytoplankton will increase. And so these are sort of a process that's happening in the sea, and we call our interaction here as tritrophic interaction, because we just limit the interaction into 3 animals only. And related to the topic, sustainability, this copepod here is actually food to the fish. Okay, so we can imagine if there are a lot of copepods, then the fish will get a lot of foods, and if foods are available to fish, then will be a lot of fish, and human being can have good enough food to eat. Right? And the second implication is to the climate. Yeah? Because what happened is that, so I took a picture here from these Wood Hills Oceanographic Institutes in the US, where they study also DMS. What happened is that as DMS, as the gas is released into the atmosphere, it can get trapped by the clouds, and because when there are enough DMS in the clouds, then what happens is that the sunlight here can be reflected. So in the future term, so what happens is that DMS here can help the Earth to cool down, the atmosphere to cool down. So DMS can be the solution to climate change. We know that climate change is related to the global warming, but with DMS, then basically it can help to cool down the temperature of the Earth. So these are 2 examples of the use of DMS. Yeah. Okay, so now we are talking about the mathematical model. Please don't be discouraged. This might be one of the only few slides where I present mathematical equations. Okay, so P here is the amount of phytoplankton in the sea, and then M here is the microzooplankton. Okay. What about the copepods? We will see to that. So we just reduced our problem into 2 equations only, under the assumption that the number of copepods is fixed. Why is it fixed? Because the time life span of copepods is much longer than these 2. Yeah? So we assume that the copepods is constant. So the first term on the right-hand side is the growth. So it's phytoplankton growth. Why? So if you know the population growth, this is the standard equation, and it's actually because phytoplankton can grow because it's like a plant. Yeah? So it can grow by itself by absorbing the sunlight. And then the second term on the right hand side here is the grazing or the eating process. So phytoplankton is eaten by microzooplankton, is represented by this term. And then as microzooplankton eats phytoplankton, then the amount or the number of populations of microzooplankton will increase. So this is the first term on the right hand side here of the second equation. And there is a term gamma. What does it mean by gamma? Gamma here is between 0 and 1. Why? Because not everything that is eaten, not every phytoplankton that is eaten will become 100% converted into population growth. So there is an efficiency. So this gamma here is the efficiency. And then the microzooplankton, because it depends on phytoplankton, it cannot grow by itself. It cannot absorb the sunlight, so it can die. So this part here is the mortality rates of the microzooplankton. And then the last term here represents the process where copepods eat microzooplankton. Yeah. So that's the first item. Now we go to the second item. People talking about the ODEs. Now DMS, no DMS effects. Okay, before that, I'm sorry, I apologize. I forgot to mention about the DMS. Where is the DMS? The DMS is new here. New represents how much DMS is released by this microzooplankton. Ya, berapa banyak keringat yang dikeluarkan oleh microzooplankton ini. So that is the new. So new is our control parameter. Okay. So if no DMS, meaning that microzooplankton does not release any chemicals and no DMS, then what happens is that then we have the standard periodic solution. Oh, no, not the periodic solution, sorry. Then what happens is that if we start initially at, wait, where is my pointer? Sorry, okay, so this is my pointer. So the if we start initially at the red point there, then what happens is that as time increases, they will oscillate and tend to an equilibrium. So they will reach an equilibrium position where microzooplankton and phytoplankton will coexist at the same time. They live happily together. This is, and then when there is, oh sorry, yeah, sorry, I think I made the wrong information. Without DMS effects, if there is no secretion, tidak ada keringat, so no copepods eating microzooplankton, then what happens is that it's going to be a periodic oscillation. Yeah? Periodic oscillation. Why periodic oscillation? Because phytoplankton is eaten by microzooplankton, so the phytoplankton will decrease and the microzooplankton will increase, but then there will be less food. Because there is no food, microzooplankton will die, microzooplankton die, then phytoplankton will increase, and so on. So it's going to be a circle. Now, if there is a small DMS effect, then what happens is the phytoplankton and the microzooplankton will tend to an equilibrium point. Yeah. So in this case, there is a control to microzooplankton by copepods. Now, this is what is interesting. When the secretion is big enough, what happens is that now we obtain two different equilibria. The first equilibrium is this one. In this case, if we start from there, then what happens is the phytoplankton and microzooplankton will tend to a lower equilibrium. However, there is another equilibrium on the right-hand side, where in this case, what we see is that the number of phytoplankton given by green on the right-hand side, so the phytoplankton is exploding. So the microzooplankton is eaten by copepods, by bigger animals. So what happens is that the phytoplankton becomes exploding. So there are a lot of phytoplankton. This is actually the case with the picture, the green picture on the lake. So when we have a bloom, we have an explosion of population, explosion of phytoplankton. So what we see is that green everywhere. When maybe in the case of the ocean, then what we see is everything is green. And if there are a lot of chemicals, then phytoplankton bloom will definitely occur. And I have about 15 minutes left. I will need to speed up. So to explain, so what happened is that K, what is K? Remember, K is the population growth. So this comes from the population growth. So K here represents how much phytoplankton can fit in one area. How much phytoplankton, the total capacity that can fit in one area. So this is K. And then nu here is how much DMS is released by microzooplankton. And what we see is that if the combination between K and nu here within the gray area, then what happens is we will obtain phytoplankton bloom. And phytoplankton bloom here can be dangerous. One time I spoke to a faculty member from Universitas Brawijaya. She is a biologist, and her research is in Karangkates or something, where occasionally there will be moments in the Karangkates, Bendungan Karangkates, where the algae can explode. The population of algae can explode, and so in that case there is a bloom of algae population. The story is quite similar, but the mechanism might be different. And for the Bendungan Karangkates case, it can be dangerous to the population of fish because they cover the surface of the water, so the fish can die, and it can create pollution. Smell can be quite strong, and even can make people unconscious, due to the smell. And also on the other side, the algae can also block the water flow, so it can be disadvantage to the electricity provision as well. So if we don't want bloom to happen, which means that we have to avoid to be in the gray area here. So that's the first part, the ODEs. And if we look at the ODEs, so the ODEs or partial differential, ordinary differential equations or persamaan differential biasa, it means that we treat this large area as a single point. So what we see with ODEs is just this lake here is just a point, which of course cannot be physically interesting or relevant, because definitely is very wide. So we should not just consider it as a single point. So in that case, then we need if you want to improve our model, then we have to include the spatial dependence. That's what we are going to do now. For the lake case, it is going to be two-dimensional, not just two-dimensional, it can be also three-dimensional if we look into the depth as well of the lake. But for simplicity, for our analysis, we consider just one-dimensional in X. So one-dimensional in X and time. So what we put here, the last two terms are the same as before, as in the ODE case, but we introduce diffusion term, second derivative of P with respect to X, and second derivative of M with respect to X. What does it mean? It means that the phytoplankton can swim, can spread, as well as the microzooplankton. Yeah? So both of them can swim. They can spread. However, there is a parameter dp here. This represents the speed, how quick they swim compared to microzooplankton, because they will not have the same speed in swimming. So we introduce dp here. So in this case, it is quite well known in mathematics and also in natural sciences and also in engineering that once we include second derivative in space, and there is a difference of diffusion factor here, then patterns may appear. So we come to the second part of the talk. I have about 10 minutes, so hopefully I will be able to manage this. The second part of the talk is about patterns. What do we mean by patterns? So patterns is like, what do you call that? Pola in Indonesian. It's not uniform, but also it's not localized. So what we see is, for instance, here, these are the picture of my children a couple of years ago. The intention is not to show their pictures, but look at the background. So this is a picture taken at the sea when it was at the time of surut, waktu surut. I forgot the English. Yeah, what we see is that this one, the patterns in the background. Okay? And we can also have patterns when we shake rice, for instance, and we can have the patterns like this. And even when we cook in the kitchen, we boil oil, frying oil. And if we put some granular materials, for instance, in Indonesia, it's called minyak jelantah. When we boil such oil, then we might be able to see patterns form. If we are patient enough, now we might start seeing patterns like this. So these are all patterns. And patterns appear in nature quite often. Yeah, it's something that can be seen around us. These are patterns formed by plants, by forests, and different kinds. And this one is called fairy circles. Fairy circles or lingkaran peri. Why is it so? And even a study on this, on the occurrence of these things still happening. So people are still studying how this can happen. And there are several theories. And they don't agree yet to be the actual reason how these circles appear. So studying patterns is very interesting, and it is quite up to date, actually. I have 5 minutes left. So more relevant parts with our discussion on patterns in phytoplankton bloom is that, for instance, here patterns formed by grass, yeah, and we can have so-called spots. What is spots? It means that in most areas that dry grass, dead grass. Only in some places we obtain a green, isolated green grass here. So these are called spots. We can have also stripes, and we can have also holes or gaps, where the opposite of spots, for holes or gaps, mostly green, but there are some points with dead dead grass. Okay, and also patterns appear as well in the animal skins. And these are analyses that I will skip, but what is interesting is, depending on the diffusion coefficient, so dP, there are there are regions where we might observe different patterns. Because of the time limits, so we see, okay. I'm just showing the 3D plot. So this is a 3D where on the vertical axis is the spatial dimension, and the horizontal axis is the temporal dimension. So it's time. So what you should see here is that you go in time to the right. At T0, there was nothing, so there's just water. But we introduce small amounts of phytoplankton. If the parameters are correct, if we have the right parameter, then what happens is that as time increases, in time, what happens is the amount of phytoplankton that was quite small initially, it can explode and cover the area and making a phytoplankton bloom. Yeah. So this is the population of phytoplankton, and this is the population of. Oh, your class, G. Oh, sorry, G. Sorry, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I think I went into the wrong room. I will, if you give me a second, I will leave and change the class. Sorry.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, because Professor Hadi has another appointment, I think he will come back in a moment. So please, if you have any question, you can deliver your question directly by raising your hand or in the chat box. So don't worry, you can deliver it in Bahasa because Professor Hadi from Indonesia. So if you're not confident of using English, you can use Bahasa.
Sorry, I'm walking to my office now. It was in a classroom. Now, my apology. My apology. Just a second, please.
Okay, Professor, just take your time. So we will wait until you come back to this meeting room. Okay, for a student, maybe here I see that some of students in mathematics and biology department is already here. So any question from all of you that curious about phytoplankton and models in mathematics?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Okay, Professor, thank you. So is it
Sorry.
okay if we continue our discussion session?
Okay, let me just close my presentation. I have a few slides left. I still have 5 minutes, right?
Yes, right.
Approximately. Okay, thank you. So this one example. So I think it's closely resembles the if we change if we take different parameters, and what happens is that now we open that almost everywhere green, but there are some spots where we have no bloom, which means that we might have gaps or holes here. Yeah, we can have holes. We can also have spots where almost everywhere is no bloom, and there are some spots with green with blooms. Yeah? We can have also a periodic oscillation in time. So there can be no plankton, no phytoplankton, and then there's a bloom. There's no phytoplankton again, there's a bloom again, and so on and so forth. And then last slide, I hope. And then, so this one here is interesting because we might have periodic in space. So if you look in one line, there can be bloom and no bloom, bloom, no bloom, but also not just periodic in space, it's also periodic in time. And we might also have localized blooms. So as a conclusion, we already studied modeling of DMS or dimethyl sulfide. There are two kinds of models that we discuss. First one is ODEs, namely it's where we study about temporal dynamics, where we treat our lake as a single point. And different types, but we did not discuss because just it was too technical for a general audience. And then the second model is when we include spatial dependence and we obtain partial differential equations as a model of our problem. And that's it. And thank you for listening. That was my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Professor, for sharing with us. It's very interesting topic. So it's actually biology phenomenon, but you can collaborate it into mathematical formulas. Yeah, so it's very cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now we step on the discussion session. So please, for all participants that may have a question, you may deliver your question either in English or in Bahasa, and you can directly ask by raising your hand with emoticons or deliver your question in the chat box. Remember, we have 3 door prizes for the first 3 questions. So anyone want to ask the question? Okay, I will check the chat box. No one asked the question? Okay. Okay, I wanna ask the, okay, Dimas Setyo Nugroho, please, you can deliver directly to Professor Hadi.
I will ask a question with bahasa.
Okay, that's all right.
Jadi gini, phytoplankton itu akan dimakan oleh microzooplankton. Nah, di microzooplankton ini akan dimakan oleh copepods. Nah, apabila microzooplankton ini mengalami kepunahan, apakah phytoplankton ini akan mengalami overpopulation, dan penyebabnya dan dampaknya apakah baik atau buruk untuk lingkungan? Seperti itu.
Moderator, bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris?
As you're comfortable with, Professor.
Oke, baik, saya jawab bahasa Indonesia ya. Gini, kalau microzooplanktonnya punah, maka menurut model, maka sebetulnya gini, kalau menurut model microzooplanktonnya nggak bisa punah. Seberapapun kecil microzooplankton itu kita taruh di dalam ekosistem, maka dia akan bertambah dengan waktu. Gitu. Karena ini bisa dibuktikan kalau ini berdasarkan modelnya, gitu ya. Karena berdasarkan model yang kami buat itu bisa ditunjukkan bahwa equilibrium tanpa microzooplankton itu bersifat tidak stabil, sehingga microzooplankton itu akan selalu ada. Gitu. Nah, tapi dalam kenyataannya apakah mungkin microzooplankton itu hilang? Karena saya bukan orang biologi, saya jawab semampu saya. Ya. Kalau menurut saya bisa jadi hilang. Tapi di alam itu yang memakan phytoplankton tidak hanya microzooplankton. Itu ada beberapa yang lain yang kita pisahkan, tidak kita masukkan dalam pemodelan. Kalau seandainya gitu, seandainya cuma ada phytoplankton, microzooplankton dan copepods tadi, kemudian microzooplanktonnya hilang, maka ini dapat berbahaya terhadap lingkungan karena yang memproduksi DMS itu kan microzooplanktonnya. Ya, tanpa DMS maka nanti copepods nggak dapat makanan. Kalau copepods nggak ada berarti ikan nggak dapat makanan. Akhirnya bahan makan berkurang. Kemudian juga untuk menekan pemanasan global itu juga diperlukan DMS. Demikian, Mas Dimas.
Okay, Mas Dimas, is that enough?
Cukup.
Okay, thank you. For the next question, is anybody want to raise your hand? Okay, Yayan Mardiansyah. Okay, please.
Terima kasih. Izin untuk menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Selamat siang waktu Indonesia, Prof. Saya dari Jakarta. Biologi. Yang ingin saya tanyakan, Prof. Dari ketiga, ya kita sebutlah parameter tadi ya, atau indikator, mulai dari fito, mikro, dan kopepod. Kemudian dimodelkan dalam imajinasi saya, jika kita tambahkan satu parameter, misalnya yang sedang naik daun ini misalnya mikroplastik lah, Prof, atau plastik, apakah bisa membuat model seperti itu? Karena saya orang biologi, bukan orang matematik model. Kemudian yang kedua, bisa tidak kita prediksi jika ada mikroplastik akan modelnya seperti apa? Kemudian kita buat semacam pemetaan in the future, itu akan bagaimana? Terima kasih, Prof.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Yayan, pertanyaannya yang sangat menarik. Kalau dari saya pribadi tentu saja bisa dimodelkan. Tapi kami sebagai mathematician, sebagai matematikawan pasti akan membutuhkan ahlinya, termasuk Pak Yayan untuk memberikan masukan pengaruh dari mikroplastik tadi seperti apa terhadap hewan-hewan yang lain. Gitu. Apakah ada efek positif atau negatif atau bagaimana? Terus dari beberapa informasi tadi yang paling penting apa itu kan yang harus datang dari ahlinya. Nah, dengan informasi tadi kita seharusnya bisa memodelkan interaksi antar organisme tadi, gitu. Dan apakah bisa digunakan untuk memprediksi di kedepannya? Saya yakin bisa. Nah, cuma seberapa bagus? Yang paling tidak yang saya yakin, insya Allah pasti bisa itu untuk secara kualitatif. Jadi kita bisa memprediksi interaksi, behavior atau explain gitu. Tapi untuk kuantitatif ini pasti membutuhkan data lapangan. Dan data lapangan itu yang bagi matematikawan itu sesuatu yang sangat mewah yang tidak bisa kami dapatkan. Gitu. Nah, saya tadi sempat menyebut dengan dosen biologi dari Brawijaya, sempat berbicara juga karena ternyata beliau juga mempelajari plankton juga dalam ledakan populasi alga di Karangkatas itu. Nah, harapan saya juga bisa bekerja sama untuk memodelkan masalah beliau. Dan dari diskusi pertama itu memang luar biasa kalau orang lapangan itu biologi gitu. Ternyata banyak sekali parameter gitu yang dikumpulkan, datanya luar biasa. Nah, bagi kami orang matematika biasanya kami berangkat kira-kira parameter apa yang paling dominan dalam interaksi itu. Nah, ini yang itu beliau meminta waktu dan dia mungkin karena kesibukan jadi belum berlanjut sampai sekarang. Jadi kalau menjawab pertanyaan Pak Yayan, sangat bisa dan insya Allah akan sangat menarik. Saya memang membutuhkan kerjasama. Demikian.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for answering the question. Pak Yayan, is that enough? Okay, yeah. Okay, for the next question, Ibu Rina Mardiati is already raising her hand. So please to Ibu Rina.
Thank you, Ms. Fadilah, for this opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. I am Rina Mardiati. I'm a lecturer from Sunan Gunung Djati, Bandung. And I'm sorry because I cannot turn on my camera because since there is a technical problem in my connection. First, I want to thank Prof. Hadi for this amazing presentation. Even though my background is not fully in mathematics, but my dissertation was talking about the modeling behavior of vehicle. So I'm so curious, maybe I'm still curious about the validation of this model, Prof. Is this model has been validated? If it yes, how big the accuracy of this model? That's all my question. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Ms. Fadilah.
Thank you, Ibu Rina, for the interesting question. Honestly, the model has never been validated yet so far. And I mentioned in one of the collaborators is Michael Steinke. He's a senior lecturer in biology at Essex University. So all the information about the interactions come from him. And he has some data as well about the interactions, some experiments about the interactions. However, measuring DMS particularly related to the problem that we study is quite difficult, according to him. So how to measure the release of the infochemicals by microzooplankton is not known yet. So up to now, the discussion is rather qualitative. However, we are quite lucky because we believe that our model is one of the first in modeling such interaction, and our work has been published in a good journal as well. So far, the study is still rather on the qualitative side. It has not been validated yet.
Okay, Bu Rina, is that enough?
Okay, Prof. Thank you so much.
Okay, Professor, we have 2 questions on the chat book, so I will read it for you from Bapak Muhammad Agus Salim. Mohon maaf, sepengetahuan saya mikroalga atau fitoplankton penyebab blooming di laut selalu berasal dari kelompok mikroalga dinoflagellata yang beracun. Jadi apakah faktor tersebut diperhitungkan dalam pengamatan ini? Begitu, Prof, pertanyaannya.
Terima kasih pertanyaannya. Siapa tadi, Bu?
Bapak Muhammad Agus Salim.
Muhammad Agus Salim. Saya juga mendapatkan pertanyaan ini juga dari beberapa dosen biologi yang mendengarkan presentasi saya sebelumnya. Nah, jadi kelihatannya memang sangat relevan kelihatannya bagi para biologist. Saat ini kami belum memasukkan kelompok ini ke dalam model, dan menurut Michael Steinke yang juga biologis, ini juga penting sebetulnya untuk karena dan ada beberapa lain juga jadi kalau mau model itu bisa menjelaskan secara kuantitatif, memang sudah kesepakatan bersama, sudah kita bersama perlu banyak variabel yang dimasukkan. Tapi semakin banyak variabel yang masuk, semakin banyak komponen yang kita perhitungkan, maka penyelesaian secara matematikanya akan bergantung dengan komputer saja. Dan bagi orang matematika menjadi tidak cantik lagi. Jadi memang ada tarik menarik ini antara kami dari matematikawan dengan kolega kami di biologi. Nah, akhirnya waktu itu ya sebagai langkah awal, jadi masih banyak sebetulnya yang bisa dikerjakan, termasuk dengan mikroalga yang Pak Agus Salim sampaikan, sebenarnya bisa dikembangkan juga lebih jauh ke depannya. Gitu. Jadi yang kami kerjakan ini baru langkah awal yang ya alhamdulillah bisa tembus di jurnal bagus gitu. Yang saya sendiri sebetulnya di awal juga nggak terlalu yakin gitu. Gitu Pak. Jadi memang sangat terbatas. Ini sangat sederhana. Demikian Pak.
Okay, and for the next question from Ibu Ana Widiana, from ecological side, when the phytoplankton bloom or abundant, so it occur eutrophication, and can biological modeling provide a precise figure of the predicted state?
Thank you, Bu Ana, for the interesting question. I presume that Bu Ana is a biologist. This eutrophication is the first time I heard about this. I'm sorry. I just Google it, and if my reading is correct, my understanding is correct, it's excessive richness of nutrients in a lake or other body of water. So can modeling provide a precise figure of the predicted state? If it is a precise figure, with our model, I think it's not possible yet, at least. Why? Because the model, as I mentioned before to Pak Agus Salim and Bu Rina as well, it is very simple. Is a very infant stage to be compared with experimental data, which we will be happy because as mathematicians, again, data is something something very expensive to get. We don't do experiments, so basically we are very happy if there are data that can be used to validate, to compare with mathematical model. So to answer your question, can it provide a precise figure with the model that I presented? My answer is no. But I am hopeful, I am quite confident that it can provide as a first step to make a better model that will suit and hopefully also answer your question.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Is there any question? I think one more question for from the participants. No? Okay, no one raised the hand. Okay, so I have a question for you, Professor. It's a simple question because there are many students, especially in Department of Mathematics and Biology in among these participants. So I'm curious, what subject do they have to take to construct this kind of model, if they're interested in mathematical biology?
From my experience, especially for students in mathematics, I think what they need would be the mathematical tools, dynamical systems, and differential equations, ODEs, PDEs. What about the biological side or the natural sciences part? Because it really depends on their interest. It doesn't have to be mathematical biology. It can also be from physics or from engineering. And in that case, for the other parts, I would suggest to do self-study, independent study. And of course, not just study by themselves, but also interact with the relevant lecturers, with the relevant staff members. In that case, I think it will be good enough for our students in mathematics.
All right, thank you for the suggestion. So, ladies and gentlemen, because the time is very limited, I'm sorry, I should immediately close the discussion session. And before I close it, I will announce the winner of the door prize. The first door prize goes to Mr. Dimas Setio, and the second one goes to Mr. Yayan Mardiansyah, and the third one goes to Mrs. Rina Mardiati. Congratulations, and the committee will contact you privately. So we had finally finished our first session. I would like to thank you to Professor Hadi Susanto for this great opportunity as our guest speaker, and also to all participants that very enthusiastic along the session. I'm Fadila Ilahi as moderator sign out and hand this event back to Ms. Wardah as master of ceremony. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We thank the first moderator and the speaker. Please give your best applause. And then we give a certificate to the first speaker from the Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology of Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung. Please, the operator to display a certificate. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prof, to attend in this international webinar. Yeah. Okay. Thanks to operator. Okay. Thank you very much to the first speaker, Prof. Hadi Susanto from Department of Mathematics, Khalifa University, and the Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology, Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and then the next session will be led by the second moderator. Before that, I will read a little CV of second moderator today. The second moderator is named Mel Viola STM Eng. She is a lecturer of Industrial Engineering Department at Faculty of Science and Technology, UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau. Her bachelor's degree was obtained from Universitas Sumatera Utara Medan, and she graduated from a master degree at UTM, University Teknologi Malaysia, Johor Bahru. Okay, to our moderator, time is yours.
Well, thank you, Ms. Wirda. Now is our webinar for second session is about to begin. Please have nice seat, mute your microphone, and thank you very much for staying with us until the second session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Thank you Allah for this precious opportunity. Good afternoon to you all. Hopefully you are still enjoying our webinar and ready for the next speaker. Before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Mel Viola from Faculty of Science and Technology, Universitas Riau, and will be the moderator of the second session. I'm very pleased to meet you here and welcome to all of you to this international webinar. This webinar is conducted by UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau and UIN Sunan Gunung Djati, partnered by Institut Teknologi 10 November and Khalifah University, and also sponsored by Pertamina Hulu Rokan. For this session, we will discuss about how to make your city smart. Sounds interesting, right? Okay, dear participants, the session speaker is Prof. Dr. Suhono Harso Sepangkat Master Engineering. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Prof. Suhono. Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
To webinar.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you today, Prof?
Yeah.
We are very
Nice.
exciting.
Okay, I start for my presentation.
Not yet. Okay, I will read a little bit about your CV, so
Okay.
the audience will know what
Okay,
you
okay,
will do.
okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay, Prof. Suhono is one of professor in Institut Teknologi Bandung in IT major. He has received his bachelor degree at ITB in 1989-86 and taken his master degree at Meisei University, Japan, then finished his PhD at University of Tokyo in Japan in 1998. Now, he is the head of City Innovation Center and Smart Community, Institut Teknologi Bandung. He has a lot of projects related to smart city, and I can mention for the latest project in 2021 are about anomaly detection system for IoT smart environment, implementation of cooperation and integrated smart system platform in realizing smart city in Semarang city, and also big data analytics to support the quarantine program and mapping analysis of the impact COVID-19. I think a lot of projects in this year's Prof. He is also the holder of copyright smart system platform and Bisma building information system and management energy, and having 2 patents already. Firstly is peer-to-peer electronic money transaction method, and secondly is ambulance assignment method and selection of hospital with suitable facilities for patient for medical emergency management. I can say, wow, for a professor that we have here, we have an expert to explain about smart city. Okay, before our presentation begins, I will remind you to mute your microphone. Firstly, Prof, I will give you the time until 3 p.m. And secondly, we will have question and answer sessions for about 30 minutes. And we will take maybe firstly for 3 questions for that session. Okay, Prof. Suhono, now the time is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miss Mefayola, yeah?
Yeah, Prof.
Nice, yeah. I try to, first of all, I would like to thank for the organizing committee to invite me to share in International Webinar Series and Sustainability organized by WIN and many famous partners in ITS and also Pertamina. Well, as a request from the organizing committee, I would like to share my file with the topic how to make your city become smart. Yes, I would like to share script. Yeah. Is my file okay? You can read it? Okay?
It's okay, Prof.
Okay.
We can see it clearly.
Well, my name is Sunan. I'm from Smart City and Community Innovation Center, ITB. The question is how to make your city smart. It is not easy to say, and also it's good objective how to make the smart city. Well, first of all, I would like to discuss about what is our challenge in our city before COVID and during COVID. Not now is not as after COVID. Yes, still during COVID. Yeah, not after COVID. Before before COVID, the challenge of the city is urbanization. The number of population in our city every day increase and increase, and about more than 50% of population stay in the city. Compared with 40 years ago, in the city is only maybe 35% or 40%, but now becoming in city more than 50% and maybe nearly 60. However, the supporting resources in the city maybe not more than 20%, and the economic support from the city is maybe more than 80%. The waste in the city is very high, and also the supporting for transportation, for stay, and so on is still limited. So this is our challenge in our city before COVID. And this is not it's only extreme situation. The people and the animal is comparable in the discipline, and yeah, the animal can discipline for the situation in walk and how to get the food. However, the people, the problem is the challenge is not seen in an animal. The worth of animal and the worth of people is not comparable now. I think this is also not only problem on technology, but also the people and culture in the city is one of the factors of our life. After COVID, or during COVID, my friend from MIT, Professor Karoleti, say the city finished because some people who want to stay in a high-rise building in the city. He can or they can work from home. They can work from anywhere. Before COVID, you and another people maybe interest to work in a big city, in Jakarta, Singapore, etc., etc. However, in a high-class building, you just give a meeting, discussion, and so on and so on. And of course, during COVID, this is one of these new challenges and new changes. People can work from home, from anywhere. Don't need in the city, because the city with the challenge on the 5M or 3M. Masker, menjaga jarak, mencuci tangan, menghindari kerumunan. And of course, this one of our challenges, how to avoid the situation with the high density people, and that work in distributed area. So the cities, maybe the concept of the cities planning is different compared with the previous cities planning. This is our challenge during COVID. Why? I would like to discuss what is the definition of city, or what is a city. City is a system of systems, content of the physical structure, transportation system, social entity, interaction, and also information. The complexity of cities varies based on the people, based on the infrastructure, based on the livings, and also interaction with the people, and maybe also in air. System is complex system. System is complex with many subsystems in health, education, trade, and so on and so on. And the challenge, we need innovative solution to tackle the challenge in the city, because the capacity of the city can solve the problem based on the population, and also based on have like in COVID, increase by time. If we use the conventional solution, the gap between problem and the solved problem wider and wider. So we need a solution. We emphasize in this case is smartization or digitalization. What is smartization and what is digitalization? Of course, we have a very simple concept with the ikroh, tabayun, and action, sensing, understanding, and acting. Sensing the situation of our city, aware of the situation, understand what the situation, and act based on the insight. Call it sensing, understanding, and acting based on what happened, why it happened, and what will happen if we no intervention from the people, from the technology, no intervention from this. So smartization and digitalization is one of the enablers to solve the city, becoming a smart city. And what's smartization? This is the definition from my colleague from Tokyo Institute of Technology. Smartization can, as a technique, I add not just ICT, but also people, but also process, and recently data, so that we can improve the situation of our quality of life on reliability, credibility, security, safety, and more higher level in a smart level value, convenience, comfortability, efficiency, eco-friendliness, so we can realize our smart society, and smart economy, smart city, smart business, and so on and so on. And what is a smart city? Smart city is not just technology, city plus technology, but the basic concept is how to use effectively, highly efficient of the resource so that we can improve a better quality of life in the city. We have this discussion with some organization to talk about this. Smart city is a city that we can utilize its resources effectively and efficiently to solve and city challenges using smart solutions by providing infrastructure and deliver city services to improve the quality of life. This is our approach in a smart city model with we call it as my office model, my CCIC model is how to improve the quality of life. It is not how to make our city smart, increasingly every day, today better than yesterday, tomorrow better than today. The core of this our is sensing, understanding, and acting, and then produce the smart services. Using the enabler of the smart services, so we can improve the quality of life with the smart city characteristics is integrated, secure, sustainable, and very efficient using of the resources. We have developed Garuda Smart City Framework. It's not just apply the technology for the city, but we need a framework. Garuda Smart City Framework is one of our framework development and developed stuff from the 2015, and we have developed in many in several stages. Yeah, we have developed till now as a Garuda Smart City Framework 4.1. We developed it with definition of the smart city, model of the smart city, measurement model, collaboration model, development model, enterprise architecture, standard, service, canvas, living lab, and so on and so on. And this is one of our journey of the smart city framework development. If we divide it into two sections, side in the smart city model or smart city definition and comparable with the real city. In the front, in the above this smart city definition, we can modelize the smart city. Then, smart city measurement model, smart city collaboration model, smart city development model, enterprise architecture, smart city standard, smart city services. And in the below, we consider smart city plan, include the city standard, smart city initiative project, government, private sector, citizen community, city plan, private plan, community plan. And this is our model of the smart city, divided into 3 layers. First layer is resources. Second layer is enabler. Third layer is services. Services we divided into 3 main components of sustainability: economic, environment, and society. Every service domain be divided into some definition, some services, for example, in smart economy, smart industry, smart small business, smart and creative startup, smart tourism, smart maritime, smart mobility, smart payment and banking, smart commerce, etc., etc. Smart society, smart health, smart education, smart government, safe and secure. Smart energy is one of the smart environment, smart water, smart waste management, smart region, and others. This is what is the success factor holistic: the improve quality of life, service, smart social, smart economy, smart environment, and enable is a people, smart government, smart infrastructure, and smart environments. And then from the service of view, we can divide into quality of life, basic value, additional value, etc. So I think this is our approach based on our model and framework. We have defined it as smart in a Cominfo approach. It is 6 dimensions of the smart city. There's smart economy, smart environment, smart society, smart governance, smart people, and also smart branding. And as an enabler platform for smart services, we have developed it, we propose the integrated smart system platform with a governance, environments, infrastructure platform, technology, and people for the supporting the smart services in the city. For example, for smart mobility, smart payment, smart economy, smart health, etc., etc. This is also our view of the impact of the industry 4.0. And then what is the impact industry 4.0 in our smart city model? Smart economy, smart society, smart environment, new technology, AI, IoT, big data analytics, new character of citizen, and so on. And city is an organization with a limited architecture, enterprise architecture for smart city. Smart and secure city. And this is one of these examples, safe and secure city. Smart society, smart economy, safe and secure is one of the component of this city. City must be safe, city must be secure, city must have, city must be resiliency. So there are a lot of expectation and regard the smart city or city. This is one example our technology on the crowd understanding for the COVID, how to count the people, how to analyze the crowd, city or crowd of the people, or social distancing and the like. This is our one example of CCTV analytic IoT for safe and secure in Bandung railway station. How to understand the situation, how to observe or how to monitor the situation in the area, in the maybe in a mall, in a station, and so on. This is what is our approach is technology in a smart city, a smart area. This is our using technology to know the situation in an area in the station, but it can be used in another area in a city, so that the area becoming comply with the protocol kesehatan. The number of people, the density of the people, and so on and so on. This is our research, and then the social distancing in railway station. using technology, and then how to understand it. Object classification. How to classify the object that we saw by CCTV. Social distancing. Total counting, how to counting the number of people in the station. This is the applications. And then usually the mayor or wali kota try to implement the smart city is only using how to make an application and how to about the application from a vendor. But actually, we need the people and process, and we advise that start from the small area, and we advise to develop model by live and lab. This is how to make the city becoming smart and start with a small area in a kelurahan or kecamatan, and we understand what the behavior of the people is there, behavior of the government and the behavior of the community, and then what is the influence of the people, what is how the implement of this technology intervene from the government, and so on and so on. So please try using the small area in a small area, and then we try to understand, and then we can duplicate for another kecamatan or for another kelurahan based on the plan, build, run, evaluate, and then expand or duplicate. This is a living lab developer for smart city development. And of course, we need the interoperability, because there are a lot of components that must integrate in the city. And then we need a city collaboration body. City is not just the government itself, but the resources is limited. So the city needs a collaboration with another city or another vendor, industry, or society. We need a collaboration model. This is connection with city energy plan, government plan, corporate plan, and multi-community plan. So they can synergize to execution implementation smart city based on the role of the government, role of the corporate, role of the community. And this is one of the example of the smart city collaboration body from the non-government, and government, citation, and then how to synergize to solve the problem in the city using the partnership between the government, partnership with the society, partnership with the community, and so on and so on. This is one of our proposed organization body is still led by mayor, and then leader of Smart City Council, coordinator of the action, etc., and then be metric. For example, in smart health, for example, in smart people, for example, in smart education, who is the responsibility in infrastructure, in ICT, in the people, and so on and so on. Then how to the collaboration between the society, government, industry, and another component of the city. The next we discuss with the how to measure of the smart city, like the people for the IQ. Smart city, if we need IQ, intelligent creation, smartness of the city. We develop to in category of indicator. One is quality of life. This indicator has sort of quality of life. The second is smartness level. Okay. This is a component for the government and the city that measure the way to improve the quality of life to achieve better quality of life. So, we making the dimension of the vertical is quality of life, and the horizontal is smartness level. For example, good city, smart city, enough city, better city. This is one of the examples of the quality of life, low, medium, high, and smartness level, ad hoc, initial, scattered, integrated, and so on. This is one of the more detail about the governance of the maturity level of smart city. The first, we call it the ad hoc, not exist, start e-government initiative level. The second is initial, of initiative establishment, at non-e-government smart initiative, scattered, integrated, measured, and smart. This ingredient of the smart city level. And we cannot describe what is the ad hoc initiative, no formal smart city initiative. Formal smart city initiative exists in the city plan, but only in government side or non-government side. Scattered. There are smart city initiatives conducted by government and non-government, but still scattered, not integrated yet. No collaboration body to integrate smart city plan. Integrated is the city government as all strategic city stakeholders to synergize and integrate all smart city initiatives to a better city. Government establishment smart city collaboration body that consists of least government, non-government, university, and society to synergize all smart city initiative execution. Initiative actually will be executed and funded by and then measured. All smart city initiatives are integrated and by long-term sustainability strategy. That is smart level. Governance of maturity level smart city is start with the smart city and ad hoc situation, initial, scattered, integrated, measured, smart. Then from the smart city planner becoming smart city toward the smart city plan. This is one of our journey and your question of the organizing committee, how to make it your city becoming smart. This is governance, and this is one of the techniques how to achieve becoming smart city. And I would like to discuss about the smart city service canvas.
Also, Honor.
Yeah, how long?
Yeah, would you like to put your microphone closer so we can hear clearly?
Okay, open question. Okay.
Put your microphone. Please put your microphone closer because we cannot hear your voice clearly.
Oh.
Yeah, your
Sorry.
microphone.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I must change to the position. because this is a just a moment. I will to take the other person because this is our in a hotel in a cafe. Okay, my son. This is our. We have the about the smart city model based on service view, and then we try to discuss about the smart city service canvas. The speaker discuss about the smart city service canvas, and our goal is how to achieve the quality of life indicators based on many components. For example, what is the component of this service? Like who is the integrated key player? What is the integrated key activities? Integrated key resources, and then also financial, cost and structure, investment, revenue stream, and what is the innovative value proposition? List of innovative value proposition that delivered by integrated city service. Citizen segment with segment of citizen target and the channel. What channel needed to relationship? And also sustainability strategy. The smart city service canvas can be applied for any sector, and then integration and also collaboration between sector in city must be considered and then must be reviewed so that we can implementation with the integration objective. Yes, this is one of our presentation, and then we can discuss what is your consideration, what is your question about this. Thank you. If any question.
Okay, Prof. Actually, you still have the time until 15 minutes more. I'm sorry because I said earlier until 3 p.m. But you still have time until 15. But if it is enough, we can go to the answer and questions sessions. How is Prof. Hadi? Prof. Suhono?
Yeah, if any question.
Actually, we still have time until 15 minutes more for you to explain about your presentations. Or maybe if you want to open the question and answer session,
Okay.
it will be okay.
Okay, I will to make open question, yeah? Question and answer.
Question and ask. Okay, audience. Prof. Suhono already explained about how to make your city smart. Now we come to the question and answer session. We open for 3 questions, and we want to let you know that we will give 3 winners for the door prize for the best questions. You can raise your hand, mention your name and institutions for the session. You can also put your question in the chat room if you would like to.
Okay.
Any question,
Okay.
please? Don't
Yeah,
hesitate to
Ms.
ask.
Takia Nabila Yasmet,
Yeah.
time is
Okay.
yours.
Thank you for the opportunities, Miss. And I'm sorry, cannot turn on the camera because there is a technical problem. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nabila from mathematics major. And thank you in advance, Prof. It's really interesting topic. So there are two questions that I want to ask. The first question is, as has been explained, that smart city is not just city plus technology. So
Yes.
is there any example the city example city that has implemented a smart city as the definition? And the second question is, I see in the presentation there is smart management region. So maybe there are many areas that are not well managed, such as there is industry near residential area, so the pollution of effective waste to settle. So the question is, can we use deployment model for that case? Okay, thank you.
Development model of
For that case,
that case.
the case is there are many areas that are not well managed, such as there is industry near residential area.
Well managed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Directly answer. Or collected with another question first.
Okay, we can see the chat room first. Is there any other questions? Okay, there is no question, Prof. Or maybe you can answer first for
Thank you.
Takia Nabila questions.
Yeah. Smart city is not just talk about the technology, but the objective is how to improve the quality of life. The quality of life in our city can be divided into several components like the sustainable development goal in economic development, environmental, and also social. And then what is how the role of the technology? Technology is one of the components, not just technology, but also people process to improve the quality of our waste management, maybe on the transportation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so on and so on. So I think smart city is not just city plus technology, but we need another component like people process. And in regard the smart management, yes, of course, this is one of our main definition of the smart city is how to manage our resources in the city, like human resources, natural resources, and also the heritage maybe like Bandung, like Bali, and so on. Then the people, educated people, smart people, is one of the important component in the smart city development. Can manage of our situation, can manage our location, and so on and so on. I don't know. This is can answer your question or another question.
How is Takia Nabila Yasmet? Is it answer your question?
It's enough maybe for the second question.
For the second question, she asked for the answer, Prof. Can you repeat again, Ms. Takia, your second question?
For the second question, I see in the presentation there is smart management region.
Smart management region.
Yeah.
Region.
So maybe in Indonesia there are many areas that are not well managed, such as there is industry near residential area. And the question is, can we use deployment model for that case?
Okay, as I mentioned in our model, we develop the left and right. Start from the small area, and then we can replicate or duplicate in this area with the same character, with the same behaviors, and then we can improve for another area based on the character of the government, character of the community, character of the society, from Sabang to Merauke, with the many aliens, with the many different, with the many character. So we must deploy based on the requirement, based on the situation in its region, in its area. So there are some questions from chatting, Mbak Anggita Indah Kusuma and Mas Nesti Rosanda ya, from chatting.
Baik, apakah izin memakai bahasa Indonesia ya, Prof?
Yes.
Oke. Sebelumnya perkenalkan, nama saya Anggita Indah Kusuma. Saya mahasiswa dari Sunan Ampel Surabaya. Izin bertanya, Prof. Oh ya, sebelumnya saya dari jurusan ekonomi dan izin bertanya, Prof, bagaimana cara untuk menciptakan smart economy pada kota-kota kecil yang mungkin belum memiliki kapasitas besar untuk berkembang? Terima kasih.
Well, pakai jawaban bahasa Indonesia atau Inggris? Ya, oke, pakai bahasa Indonesia, jawaban pakai bahasa Indonesia. Oke. Yang paling penting adalah ekonomi itu kan pertumbuhan kan harus ada revenue dan ada pengeluaran kan, revenue generation kan bisa di develop based on the potential of the city. Maybe from the farmer, or maybe from the creative economy, or maybe from the maritime and so on and so on. So of course ini harus merupakan suatu kreativitas dan inovasi, mengelola sumber daya yang dipunya oleh kota. Jadi bagaimana membuat startup baru, mengoptimalkan yang ada menjadi suatu unit-unit pemasukan yang baik, penguasaan yang memberikan suatu nilai buat daerah tersebut. Nah, di situ kan ujungnya adalah ya inovasi dan kreativitas. Nah, orang yang mempunyai kreativitas adalah orang, jadi sumber daya manusia harus ditingkatkan kemampuan inovasi dan kreativitasnya. Selain ekosistem lain, misalkan finansial untuk finansial untuk marketing dan sebagainya, itu akan economic development sehingga ekonomi tumbuh. Begitu kira-kira.
I think that is answer your question, Miss Anggita.
Yes, terima kasih Prof, sangat insightful.
Okay, we come to the third question from Mr. Nesti Erozanda from Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau.
Okay, thank you, Miss Moderator. Maybe best I use Indonesian language to ask Professor Suhono. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Suhono. Jumpa lagi dalam dunia maya, Prof.
Ya.
Apakah suara saya bisa didengarkan dengan Prof?
Didengar dengan baik.
Baik. Begini, Prof. Saya ingin menanyakan pendapat Prof berdasarkan pengalaman Prof yang sudah malang melintang di dunia smart city setelah beberapa tahun ya, dan saya juga ikut serta dalam tim Smart City Kota Pekanbaru, Prof. Dan saat ini, ya Pekanbaru. Kita berapa kali FGD.
Wali kotanya masih Pak Firdaus ya?
Masih.
Salam.
Oke ya. Nanti kalau jumpa insya Allah disampaikan, Prof. Kalau enggak, mohon maaf, Prof. Gini Prof, kita banyak kendala-kendala di Pekanbaru. Apakah kendalanya sama di kota-kota lain yang sudah Prof tangani atau tidak? Sehingga ketika kita akan melanjutkan program Smart City ini, nanti mungkin diadopsi menjadi Smart Campus atau Green Campus, itu bisa dijadikan pedoman atau acuan sehingga itu tidak terjadi atau dihindari. Minimal kalaupun ada risikonya dikurangi gitu Prof. Kira-kira apa barrier atau halangan terbesar yang menghambat kesuksesan program yang sangat bagus ini, Smart City atau Smart Campus ini Prof? Saya rasa demikian Prof. Terima kasih atas waktunya, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Memang tantangan membangun Smart City itu luar biasa. Smart City bukan hanya teknologi ditambahkan di kota kan. It's not just only technology and plus the city, but also the people. Tantangannya adalah memang bagaimana kesiapan manusia dan juga bagaimana pengelolaan sumber daya yang kita punya itu sehingga bisa meningkatkan. Nah, yang masih belum dipegang dengan baik adalah data. Nah, saya menambahkan sekarang people, proses, teknologi, dan data. Nah, data ini menjadi infrastruktur. Membangun suatu servis tertentu didasarkan data. Nah, data itu akan menjadi hal yang penting di dalam pengembangan kota, karena mengambil keputusan untuk transportasi, untuk kesehatan, hasilnya data. Nah, data didapat dengan cara seperti apa? Digitalization, datafication, and then how to understand based on the data in your city. Itu akan panjang untuk bisa menjadikan kota itu berdasarkan data, berdasarkan situational awareness, aware terhadap situasi yang ada di masing-masing kota. Nah, itu menjadi suatu kunci di dalam pengembangan Smart City yang ada di kota-kota. Nah, orangnya juga jangan buru-buru, kemudian di launch tidak siap dengan prosesnya. Sebetulnya kalau dimulai dengan apa itu, semacam lapor, semacam sorot ya, mengukur kota, kemudian lapor ke pemerintah, pemerintah cepat merespon, itu sebetulnya sudah Smart City yang sederhana ya, karena kemampuan respon dari kepala dinas, misalkan ada yang kotor, sampah, ya kan, ini kan belum jalan dengan baik itu antara kebutuhan manusia, kemudian pemerintah merespon, karena itu akan menyangkut dari pemahaman persoalan kota, situational awareness, kemudian juga nanti melakukan respon-respon terhadap persoalan yang dihadapi oleh masyarakat tersebut. Ya kan? Nah, itu yang menjadi satu tantangan di dalam pengembangan Smart City. Buru-buru berkata-kata smart, nah, itu yang harus hati-hati, jangan buru-buru mengatakan smart, padahal belum smart. Ya kan?
Baik, terima kasih Prof.
Okay, I saw before there is also one raised hand from Mr. Surya. Mr. Surya, are you still here? Mr. Surya from Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau, are you still here? Okay, Prof. I think there is no more question at this time, but I would like to ask a question because this is not my major, so this is something really new and interesting for me. So in terms of smart society, do you think other major also should involve in this project? Because as you can see, for developed country, the human or the society is well educated. So what do you think?
Yes, educated people or smart people is one of the factor of our society development. And literacy, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology now have a program called City Literacy. It's one of program to increase the competence or the literation of the technology so that take a benefit using technology for our our life, for our productivity, for our society, for our safety, and so on and so on. So, literation program is one of the important to smaller the wider gap between the high educated people and the non-educated people. So it is one of the important. You must consider people becoming smart. It's not so easy, but it is our challenges.
But is it possible in Indonesia to be a smart city?
Yeah, possible. Why not? Possibilities depend on us, not depend on the other people. It's depend on us, depend on you, depend on your millennia, and so on and so on.
Okay, Prof. What is do you think the level of maturity for Indonesia right now for most of the capital city in Indonesia?
Yeah, Indonesia still want to become a smart city, but how to? It is a challenge for the city. This is all of our mayor and also you as a millennial generation must be contributed with a good activity, with creativity, innovate, and then you can propose your city. You can contribute with your city. The city is not just responsible by mayor, but also the millennial generation. So the movement of the younger people like you, a student, or millennial generation is very important. So we getting your contribution for our society. And I have job in the G20. You know, maybe G20 will in Indonesia start from this month. Jokowi from Italia with the estafette of the G20, and then what the issue is how I would like to make activities on the what is the role of smart city for the climate change. It's one of the our issue, climate change. Smart city is one of the important climate change. So you need your contribution.
Thank you, Prof. I agree with you. Maybe contribution is needed from all levels of the major and from all of the institutions and also from a private sector. So Indonesia can be a smart city. So I'm still waiting here for another question for Professor Suhono Sepangkat. Is there another questions that may be interesting for you related to this area? Okay, I will wait for a moment because Azan is start in Pekanbaru now, and I will begin a little bit more to announce our winners for the door prize. Okay, Prof. I think there is no other question here that maybe because it is clear enough your presentations and it is very interesting topic, especially for other majors that we already know about what is smart city actually. I can say that smart city is not only about the technology, but it is also about the quality of life, smart economy, smart environment, and also smart society. Okay, before we come to the end of this part, I would like to announce our 3 winners for the door prize. Firstly is for Ms. Takiyah Nabila Yasmet from Mathematics Department. Secondly is Ms. Anggita Indah Kusuma from Economy Department. And the third is Mr. Nesbi Erozanda from Enrich Win Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau. Give applause for the three of them. Thank you for your questions. And please let us know by putting your address and your contact in the chat room. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of this part of webinar. Before I close the seminar, I would like to thank to our speaker, Prof. Suhono. Thank you very much, Prof. This is such an amazing presentation and also very beneficial for all of the participants. I hope, and hopefully this webinar will be done continuously. Don't forget to join to our international webinar series 2 next week on Thursday. And please give applause for the speaker and for all of you. Thank you very much. And I give it back this event to Ms. Wirda.
Okay.
Can I
We
permit?
find the second moderator. Yeah. Thanks, Mrs. Yola and Professor Suhono. We thank the second moderator and the speaker. Please give your best applause. And then we give a certificate to the second speaker from Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Suskaryau. Yeah, thank you, operator. Give a certificate to the second speaker, Professor Suhono, from the Dean of Faculty. Yeah, welcome, Prof. From the Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau. Okay, thank you to operator. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
To the second speaker, Prof. Dr. Insinyur Suhono Harso Supangkat MN from Bandung Institute of Technology and Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau. Okay, finally, thank you to Mrs. Fadilah Ilahi MSI and Mrs. Melvayola STMN, who has led the first session and the second session in this special event, the international webinar today. And then thank you very much to Professor Hadi and Professor Suhono, who has attended in the international webinar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, we have finished the whole sessions of the event today, the international webinar with the theme Entrepreneurship and Sustainability, which was held by the Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau and the Faculty of Science and Technology of UIN Sunan Gunung Djati Bandung ended. I would like to inform you an interesting announcement that we will organize the second session on the 9th of November next week. Two speakers will be sharing their talks. The first speaker will be Insinyur Hendro Nurhadi, PhD from ITS, and the second speaker will be Prof. Dr. Magnus Jaeger from German. And please note the date. Once more, please note the date. 9th of November next week, we will announce the registration from soon. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, may our meeting today get the most blessings from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. I am Wirdah Anugrah, acted as Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much for all the attention. Sorry for any shortcomings. Kalaulah ada pala berbuah, ambilkan saya barang sebiji. Kalaulah ada kata yang salah, maafkan kami sampai ke hati. Burung perkutut, burung tekukur, di tepi ladang memakan padi. Bilang patut hati bersyukur, acara ditutup dan sampai berjumpa lagi. Wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bu Melva, apa kabar? Nggak jadi nanya di Bu Melva.
Recording stopped.
Iya Pak.
Dari tadi mau.
Saya lihat hilang tangannya.
Ya.
Maaf
Tadi
Pak
Bu Melva
Surya.
bilang
Oh
udah
iya,
udah nanya Pak Surya masih
izin
bisa
sebentar, Bapak Ibu, foto terakhir ya. Mohon kameranya diaktifkan.
Saya di Pajalan.
Kalau kita